This is 4200%. Build, scale, sell. The playbook for entrepreneurs who mean business. No fluff, no theory, just bold moves, real strategies, and the unfiltered truth from founders who built it, scaled it, and sold it. If you're ready to grow fast and exit strong, you're in the right place. Welcome back to another episode of 4200% Build, Scale, Sell, where we talk about people who start small companies and make them huge. I've got the real pleasure of having with me Bill Tessar with CV3. I appreciate you being here, sir, and thanks for coming on board.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So Bill has done a lot in his career. I'm excited to have him on here and talk about not just, the companies you built, but kind of where you began, right? Because we all have a story, and I love start with a story because that person who you are becomes, I think at least, not the sole reflection of a company, but you are the driver, right? As CEO, you everybody looks to you and the personality you set and the culture that you set, and your story, as we've talked about, is pretty amazing. So
yeah, thank you.
Tell me how you grew up.
Yeah, so I grew up in a lower middle class family. My dad was an appliance repairman. Mom was a stay-at-home mom. There was 3 boys, and we really didn't have a lot. My dad was a hard worker, loved what he did, but fixing an oven doesn't really generate a whole bunch of cash for the family. And so I knew at a fairly early age that I wanted to do something that was more, that created more, that made more, that I could do more. And that was just from not having anything. I was 16 years old, coming back from a dance at the school, and I got hit by a drunk driver. It was a very bad accident. They scooped me up off the freeway and put me in the back of a truck, took me to the emergency hospital and did surgery and that whole thing. And I ended up getting some money from that through a accident settlement lawsuit. And so I took that money when I was, I think I was 17, so that settled in a year. I opened the first tanning business in Simi Valley, which there was no tanning beds back then. I saw this in some entrepreneurial magazine. I spent like $8,000 for a bed and converted my mom and dad's garage and started a tanning business, which was, it murdered it while I was going to school.
Amazing.
I was making more money than my father, just as a side tanning business. And then I bought my first home when I was 18 and sat across the table with the loan officer going through every line item on the good faith estimate, credit report, processing, underwriting, loan docs, title, escrow, the whole thing. And then back then, and this goes back to the 80s, the loan origination was on the bottom of the good faith estimate, not the top. And it was like, I think the home I bought was like $105,000 and it was $1,050. And I go, what is that? And I remember the account executive going, oh, well, we tie in and then I collect. I go, no. That's what that person does. And that's what this thing does. And I'm qualifying. They're all doing the work and you're making $1,000. And he goes, yeah. And so I knew right then, I loved math. I knew right then that this is something that I think I could be good at. Went and got my license when I was a freshman in college, and I've never looked back, like literally doing it. So I was 18, I'm going to be 58, so it's 40 years that I've been in lending.
I love that. And so, I want to focus on one thing because we're going to get into your career, of course, because you had a career for a while. But you really had the entrepreneurial bug, right? No one just goes and I'm going to start a tanning bed business in college or in high school, and I'm going to go make a killing out of it. Like there's definitely a jump there. Was there a mental jump, or you just like you went for it? How do you get the idea of I'm going to start a tanning bed business?
I was really just looking at angles to make money, and because I was in high school at the time and had lots of friends, it was a very big high school. And everyone used to like to go to the beach. I just thought that, hey, it was only like $5 for a half-hour session. I thought, hey, it was affordable. B, I think there would be a lot of girls that would like to do it. And C, I could meet some girls as well, which was kind of cool.
I love that.
So it was really more of that. And I did the math. Like I had the cash to buy the bed, generate some cash, help my mom and dad out a little bit as well. And it was incredible. We were booked morning, noon, and night, expanded to 3 beds out of the garage, and I was just off and going.
That's amazing, right? Because even at a young age, you're not just, again, we're not talking about one bed. And some people are like, okay, well, I'm booked. I'm fine with 1 bed. You're in a way scaling. Now I need 2 or 3 and really booking them throughout at a young age.
Yeah.
That is inspiring.
I was motivated by money. And I know it's not a popular thing to say, but as a young kid, when you don't have it, it is a real motivator. And to not acknowledge that it wasn't existent in my life would just not be truthful. And so I was at a very early age motivated to do more and have more. And that was what got me up early in the morning and work hard throughout the day and then go to bed late at night. Like that was it.
I can't agree more. By the way, I completely agree. My early years I was hungry. I grew up on food stamps and I had nothing as well. And I can tell you, early career and a lot of it was, I'm here for money. There was no inspiring drive other than I don't like being poor. So I completely resonate with that and appreciate and love.
It's a hell of a motivator.
Absolutely.
Not having something.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now you're a loan officer. Tell me about that journey.
Yeah. So like for me, it was, I always related it back to that $1,000 good faith estimate that I was telling you about, the $1,000 that the loan officer made. And I thought every card that was in my pocket that I could give to somebody, if that thing turned to a yes, then I could get $1,000. And the truth is, I never left my house without a handful of cards, and I absolutely slaughtered it. I was a number one originator in a national company as a 19-year-old, and it was mostly because I just out-hustled everyone. I was running track for the college, I was going to school, I was running a tanning business, and I was a loan originator all at the same time, and loved doing that. And so I think it was 2 years in when I was making like a six-figure income, which, my dad at the time was probably making 15 to 20,000 a year. Like, so I got to really start changing my mom and dad's and my brothers, my life. And I did some stupid stuff as well, bought crazy cars and stuff because I didn't know better. And it seemed like the right thing to do. But I did that for 3 or 4 years and then founded my first company. And then I was off and running. Like for me, there is so much enthusiasm around the origination process that this was back in the bank and SNL days. There was no brokerages. So we were one of the first, if you think about late 80s, early 90s, before the Resolution Trust and the falling of the savings and loans and all that. And so I just went out and talked to like-minded people like myself and recruited them as originators and showed them what I was doing and what they can do. And it was very easy to share that dream because I was living it. And so I built my early companies that way. And really that's on the conventional side. I know you know that I'm on a different side today with the BPL, but I was on the conventional side for 30 years.
And I love what you're stopping right there, which is we talk a lot about scale, right? And scale does not mean there's only so much of you. You can only do so much. And the seeds right there are, you're going to find the people that can originate with you. Did you have a system in place or you instinctively knew, hey, this would be a great salesperson to grow originations?
I was doing so many loans, which means I was failing so many times. I was succeeding so many times. So I was creating kind of a blueprint of what worked and didn't work. We were the first to bring dialers in. And back in the day, and I'm aging you and me right now, there were answering machines and you left a message. And then when you came home, you'd hit the button and you'd hear that. Well, this technology reached out to the dings, dongs, and delays of an answer machine and delivered the perfect 30-second script about no point, no fee, call me to drop your mortgage payment. So I felt like I had a competitive advantage in the marketplace. I had done hundreds of loans at that time when I started. And for me, it was just sharing the opportunity. They saw fancy cars at the time. They saw that I had houses and boats and that I was like something was working for me. And so when you're young in your 20s, it's easy to influence those guys. And then once you start getting into it, you start realizing what works. It's really becomes more about your people and your customer, not about you and making money, because the money comes. And there is that transition that happens once you've actually zocked enough money away. And we've talked about it, you and I, that you could start focusing on others, that, it's endless what the opportunities are.
Absolutely. And I don't want the audience to miss that because it's such an important part. Most people, and again, we just said, right, we're both money motivated, but we also recognize if you do the right thing, if you have the right product, if you have the right people, and you do a great enough job, the money comes.
It does. And, my dad had an unbelievable saying, and I quote it to this day. He said, money doesn't buy happiness, but it puts a good down payment on it.
Yeah, absolutely does. Yeah.
If you think about it, right?
100%.
Like if you don't, we all need shelter. We all need food. We all need, to feel some form of self-worth. you can have all the money in the world and not be happy, but you do need that. So the down payment on it has always made sense to me.
Absolutely. Maslow's hierarchy needs, right? You need the shelter, you need this basic stuff covered, and then you move up the chain, right? Now you can focus on what's my higher purpose.
That's right.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. And so, so moving through your journey, you've got originators, you built this business, and then, get me to where you found Civic.
So I was the president of a company called Skyline Financial. It was a national company. We were just under $5 billion a year in production. And we bought a mortgage company that was owned by a firm called Wedgwood. Wedgwood at least claimed to be the largest independently owned fix and flip company in the nation, having purchased, beautified, and sold like 60,000 properties. And they took their stab at lending, and it's very difficult if you're not 100% focused on it. And so they wanted to get out of it. My company bought that company, not because it was a great mortgage company, but because it sat in the center of so many transactions. That was my angle anyways. And when I did that, I ended up taking an advisory role for Wedgwood because there was a capital event between the two entities. And they started this thing called Civic with just a few people downstairs in a little room. And then they did their first business purpose loan. And then they did a second, they did $1 million of it. They did $5 million of it. And as they were scaling, they hit a point of about 40 people doing about 20 million a month. That's my recollection. And they asked me to help them find a CEO to scale it. So I teed up some people that I thought would be helpful. That didn't work out. And they ended up making a run on me. Mind you, if it's 40 people doing 20 million a month, I was running a company that had 650 employees doing 400 million a month. Right. That's not a good career move. No. That's like a giant step backwards. But after doing a bunch of diligence, what I determined was that this space, this business purpose lending space, they were doing 1/17 our volume, and they were making 15 times the net income that the conventional company was making. And most people don't know that that's like flying a 747 30 feet above the street. Right. It's very difficult to run a conventional shop. There's no margin. It's highly commoditized, regulations out to kazoo. Like it's very difficult. And so what I thought, when I realized that there was opportunity and margin there, I thought if I could bring the discipline of running a conventional company, all that is required, 30 years of it, to this space, I think maybe I could scale it. Maybe we could do something special, and maybe we could make some like real money, right? Yeah. And so I did that. I left Skyline. I sold my shares and transitioned out of the conventional world over to Civic in February of 17. And we were off and running. 17, we did just under 700 million. 18, we did just under $1 billion. 19, we did $1.2 billion through COVID. In 2020, we still did $1 billion. Entered into a transaction to be acquired by CS, right? Credit Suisse. Then COVID hits. We go pencils down, pivot to PacWest, and PacWest ends up acquiring Civic in February of 21 for a significant amount of money. Right. All cash. It was quite the transaction at the time.
Yeah, and I think I remember, we talked around that time. You were excited about moving forward with them, and things were looking up. Everything was moving forward. They had the balance sheet, and then of course, as COVID deepens, takes a turn. So
I'm pointing fun at myself, but I was speaking at one of these conferences, and it was a $43 billion balance sheet, and I remember saying at the conference, we have so much cash. We have so much cash. We can't lend enough. We'd done $3 billion that year. We have so much cash, and then you don't have cash. It was like, hey, I remember you said you had so much cash, and then you don't. But yeah, they got what happened was they bought like $8 billion of treasuries at like the 170 number, and that went to 460. So that trade was horrible. And then they lost like $5 or $6 billion in deposits. Right. And so the balance sheet turned upside down. Regulators came in and so, you haven't asked me the question, but I'll tell you. So then they approached me to spin Civic out. Yeah. I raised the capital. We entered into an agreement. Board of directors signs that agreement. We have all the same attorneys and the investment bankers that were on the original deal on this deal. So that deal's going to go quickly. And 5 days before our definitive, they ended up retrading the entire deal. I didn't know it at the time, but they retraded it because the feds weren't going to allow them to give us a forward flow and a warehouse line and none of that stuff. And I wasn't going to pay 9 figures for people that I brought to the group. And so we reached an impasse. And January 18th, 2023, they ended up terming me and our general counsel, and then immediately proceeded with the wind down of Civic, which was an absolute tragedy.
Yeah.
It didn't have to go that way.
Absolutely. And right before they term you, how many people are employed by Civic at this point?
A little over 500.
500 people.
Yeah.
That's, and we don't talk enough about this, especially when you have not just, 1, 2, 5, hundreds of employees. The weight, I'll speak for myself, but the weight you feel, you don't just have your employees on board. You've got their families. You've got the people they support with the paycheck you pay them. And I know it's a weight I carry, and it's heavy sometimes.
I appreciate you bringing that up. No one ever does. It is not about the 500 employees by themselves. They all most have spouses, most have children, most have elderly parents that they're contributing to. So you end up having thousands of mouths you're responsible for. It's not just what's on your payroll. And yeah, that is a tremendous responsibility. One that I take very seriously.
Oh, and I know we've had these conversations, right? And we understand it's like every decision we make has some impact on those lives. So
don't make stupid ones, right?
I try not to.
Hopefully those are in our rear.
Hopefully. I still make mistakes every now and then, but I hope I make good decisions overall. So that's the goal. And so, so January 2023 comes, you get termed, and the deal falls through. What's next?
So I went from having one job to like 3 or 4 jobs. I have an industrial center right down the street from where Civic's headquarters was. And that next day, it took like 7 hours to get all my sports memorabilia out of my office the day that I was termed, and everyone was there helping me in tears and the whole thing. But then I literally set up shop at my industrial center the next day. And my job changed to the following. I had a contract that was violated by the bank. So I had to protect myself legally. It was a significant amount of money at stake, and I was watching a bank fail. So if that bank fails, I become a creditor, and I wanted to get paid what was owed to me. So call that job A. Job B was I was counseling 500 employees on severance packages and transition packages, and to make sure that they got the absolute most that they deserved and should get from the bank as the bank began the wind down. 3, I had to go raise new capital because I was standing up. Like literally, when I went home that night after I got termed, my whole family flew in. Everyone's emotional. I just said, like, we're going to be good. And then the very next day, I started on the path of CV3, which I don't know if you've never asked me this, but CV3 is core group version 3. Oh. So under Wedgwood,
I never knew that.
1, 2 under the bank, and 3 is our core group version 3. And then the third, so I had to raise capital because, these businesses don't run on nickels and dimes. And then I had to create a platform because they didn't, when PacWest let me go, they didn't give me all the stuff that we created. So there was 4 jobs that happened. And as you probably know now, the bank wound down Civic over about 3.5, 4 months. They closed officially in May of 23. They settled with me within 60 days. They did the right thing, and they were very fair with me, and I was appreciative of that. It was not contentious. My agreement was clear, and they honored that. I had to get attorneys involved on it, but they honored it. I thought they took incredibly, how they took care of our employees financially was incredibly well, especially for a failing bank. So I give them kudos for that. Raising capital came fairly easy because the people who we were talking to saw what we had done. Plus, I was posting up some of my own capital as well, so they liked that. They liked the story. But the truth is that I think some Wall Street people were stepping back going like, are these people really going to follow this guy? Because I had a plan. Right. And are they really going to do it? And can he really scale this up? And I think that those were 2 very fair questions. Right. I had my own beliefs, but that's all they are until you do something. Right. So I was raising capital. And the last thing is standing up a platform. So when everyone was termed, all the vultures in our space came out, all the competitors, transition packages, signing bonuses. And I know that because 2 of my sons are top originators at the company. So I was looking at what they were being offered, which was pretty impressive stuff. But what ends up happening is the biggest blessing of my career is that people said, no, we're going to wait. We're going to wait till this thing gets stood up. and we're going to re-enter this space, and we're going to go, as you've heard me say, go get our belt back.
Right.
And so that's what happened. They literally waited.
I want to talk about that before, we're going to definitely dive into that, but think about it. You and I have had these conversations before, which is you could be done today. You could have been done. You got the settlement. You've taken care of your people, right? You helped them you could be done. Like you have nothing more you have to achieve. And yet this is you saying, no, I want this back. I want to come back. Like most people's reason for scaling, they're scaling a company, great, we're growing. But for me, at least, this is a whole different reason to scale. You have a whole different reason to scale a company. You're not driven by money at this point. You're not driven by greed. You've taken care of your people. Why are you scaling?
I said it earlier. What happened to Civic was a tragedy.
Absolutely.
It should have never happened. And it impacted the lives of over 500 people. Yeah. And you're right. It's not about me. No. I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. It was really about all of them for me. And I just didn't like the way it ended. It did give all of us, and I know it's an overused term, but it is the God's honest truth. It gave us a new purpose and a new why that I think is impenetrable. Like one thing, people don't come and go at our company. No. When they come, they stay. Like you can count on one hand how many people over time has taken the option to leave. And most of those people have started their own company. God bless them. That's a cool thing, but not hopscotching over to find, a better work environment, a more cohesive culture or something that they believe in. So it's a very sticky place. And I do think that that's because we're all like-minded in putting people first. Like I think the power of CV3 is our people. Yeah. It's not me. I've been able to aggregate them. I've been able to create a vision that they believe in. I've been able to guide and empower them, but it ain't me. It's 100% the people.
Absolutely. Well, and you've scaled, so take that. You started it in 2023. I mean, we're in 2025 now. You've scaled rapidly. Yeah. And I know you've got approximately 200 people. Yeah. And I know you have other feelings about that as well. Talk to me about that. Yeah, I
mean, I think there was much written about how do you start a company with 155 people on the payroll and not a loan in the pipeline. The truth is we had 500, so there's 350 that aren't there day one. And so even at 220, in the back of my head, there's 280 that are not part of our 5, right? And it's not to say that every one of the 500 people should be, inside the gate, but an awful lot of them should. And so like in the back of my head, as much as people kind of freak out about how could you start with 155, I was always thinking about the folks that have not been able to, step forward and join us yet just because of scale. And so that's also been a big motivator for us to get there. And look at, we crossed our first billion just under 12 months.
Amazing.
And then we crossed our second billion in 7 months. We just did that this last week. And we'll do 2 billion this year. And then I think next year when you start, tickling the threes and start bringing some new product to market, I do believe we'll have the crosshairs on the site of our belt and we'll go get that back. But we are coming, like for sure. Make, no bones about it. We're not in this to participate.
Well, and you're not in it for the money either. You're driving your purpose, as you said, is impenetrable, and no one can. It's not going to be wavering because, we didn't hit this goal or quota. We're going to get it because, as you said, you want your belt back.
We want our belt back, yeah.
I absolutely love that. If you had some advice, as the second time around for you, to someone who's thinking about scaling and growing, what would it be?
So look, the first bit of advice I would give is that you do need to put the people that are inside and outside your organization first. You're last. Like people think you're president and CEO and here's the triangle and you're here. The way I think about it is I turn it upside down. I serve all. Yep. And then my direct reports serve everyone up there and then their managers serve up. So I think about things a lot differently. You have to have a mind of service at all levels, at all times, if you're going to really scale a business. Yep. If you're going to really do it and you don't put the people first, it's going to crash and burn because you can't bullshit that stuff. People see through the facade of words and not actions. And
sure.
so I think for me, I would say put your people first, and people don't have to be the folks that share your same business card. It's your vendors, it's your lending partners, it's your referral partners. It's everyone that's interconnected to that. They have to be first.
I absolutely love that. And I couldn't agree more. I have the same philosophy, which is, if you support your people, they support your clients, and everybody wins. Almost that servant leadership, like you talked about, the upside down pyramid, it's so powerful.
Yeah, it is.
I love that. So I appreciate everything you're saying. I love to ask this question. What does scaling mean to you?
It means a couple things. First, it's doubling down on all the things that you're doing right. And it's learning from the things that you're not doing perfectly. I really kind of summarize it with these 3 words. I say, if you want to create a best of class enterprise, especially in this space, you need to do quality, meaning the loans that we originate should perform the way that you represent they're going to perform to the end owner of those loans. You need to do quantity. You need to do a shitload of loans. And you need to do it consistently over and over and over again. And in my heart, if you do quality, quantity, consistency, which applies to all industry, I think that is the formula to scale.
I love that. Quality, quantity, consistency.
My people are tired of hearing it. They've been hearing it for years.
Well, I mean, it's working, right?
Yes,
So,
it
and
is.
I love the saying. It's simplistic and absolutely easy to follow.
Yes.
If people want to get in touch with you or your company, CV3, how would they do that?
We are at CV3financial.com. You can Google I think there's probably some easier ways. I'm still on MySpace. There's 5 of us left if you want to join me there.
Us and Tom still?
Exactly. Yeah, but no, thank you. And I know this particular podcast is not about this, but I want to thank you too, because I think your company has had a profound impact on so many other companies that small, medium, and large. And I think you're a true asset to our industry, and I'm grateful to you.
Oh, thank you very much. I look at it as I want to build a community, and whether you use my company or not, the whole idea is how do we get together? How do we learn, grow, and scale together? And I say this, I've said this on a couple other podcasts already, I'm selfishly selfish in the sense of if I can help someone who maybe never used me or my company and they grow and scale, they could be a referral partner to someone who does, and I grow as a result. So I want to give as much as I can. I know I'll receive as a result. So.
Yeah, it's funny too. Yeah. As we wrap up, and as we decided to stand up CV3, loan docs were one of the discussions, right? And so you guys own Lightning Docs, is that correct?
You got it. Yeah.
And I believe Nima came to our head of operations and did a presentation, and we're a big customer of yours right now.
No,
and
I appreciate you.
And also give you a plug in that it's best of class. Like we've had other systems that, and we got $20 billion of this stuff that we've done. So we know what works and doesn't.
Right.
And you guys have created a best of class organization related to that part of your business. So congrats on that.
Thank you. Almost like you said, is like, how do we serve? How do we listen to our customers and build what they want, not what I want?
Yes.
I can build anything I want, but if it's not used and if it doesn't serve a need, what's the point?
Yeah, agreed.
Well, Bill, again, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm really excited to have you. And this has been another episode of 4200% Build, Scale, Sell. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in to 4200% Build, Scale, Sell. If you got value from today's episode, follow us on social media, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and leave a review. It helps more entrepreneurs find the show. Until next time, build smart, scale fast, and sell on your terms.